The era of growth is a ghost. The systemic drift has reached its terminal coordinate. You are not living in a civilization. You are living in a digestion cycle. Status is the lure. Credit is the digestive fluid. In the visceral history of the architect, status was a signal of territorial dominance, a hardened node of crystallization that ensured the pack's survival. In the year 2026, status is a high-yield biological weapon. We are witnessing the birth of the status trap, a world where your social standing is a calibrated frequency used for the extraction of your metabolic future. This is the terminal visceral breach. Your biological shell is being consumed to power the image of a hunter you no longer are. Analyze the biological price. Every luxury financed by debt is a direct extraction from your cellular war chest. In the liquid world, the bank doesn't want your paper, it wants your pulse. Credit is the mechanism that allows the machine to front-load your future ATP. When you borrow to maintain the status trap, your body enters a state of permanent survival redline. This is not a metaphor. Your basal ganglia, sensing the loss of sovereign resources, trigger a chronic cortisol flood. This is the visceral breach. The stress melts the structural integrity of your tissues, making you soft. You are spending your cellular energy not on the capture of territory, but on the maintenance of a digital phantom. The result is a body that is chronically inflamed, metabolically bankrupt, and biologically liquid. You are a biological engine running on fumes to keep a solid image in a liquid reality. The status trap is the metabolic cage of the 21st century. The systemic drift has engineered a world where the primate is forced to compete for access rather than ownership. You believe you are wearing a crown, but it is a sensory interface for the extraction of the spread. Every high-status purchase made on credit is a microtransaction in your own liquidation. The basal ganglia, hard-coded for the defense of the horde, are being tricked into defending a debt. This induces a state of chronic, high-frequency ATP exhaustion. You lose the ability to perform genetic crystallization, the act of building a future that exists beyond the next billing cycle. You are a biological artifact, a social predator turned into a stationary, solitary unit of metabolic waste, performing push-ups in a rented fortress while the rain of interest erodes your foundation. The second layer of the hunt is the war for your focus through neural arbitrage. The neural rot of the status trap begins with the monetization of your shame. The machine buys your attention at the cost of your myelin and sells you a liquid identity at the price of your executive function. This is the systematic liquidation of the architect's seat. Your prefrontal cortex, the seat of long-term strategy, is being hijacked by the reactive loops of the basal ganglia. You are no longer thinking, you are simulating a winner. This is neural rot in its most advanced form. Focus is a function of sovereignty. The brain requires a stable war chest of privacy and security to maintain the voltage of the will. The machine has discovered that by creating social insecurity through the status trap, it can perform a surgical myelin extraction. When every social interaction is a data point that determines your liquidity score or your status ranking, your signal leaks. The voltage of your intent drops. You lose the capacity for deep, high-friction work because your neural bandwidth is occupied by the noise of the perception. This is the status trap of the social climber. You are not gaining power. You are undergoing a high-frequency extraction of your attention span. The machine floods your mind with success triggers to ensure you never have the clarity to see the friction of your own chains. Analyze the neural arbitrage of the digital ego. The systemic drift has replaced the self with a high-fidelity performance. This is neural rot. The grid monitors your reactions to status signals to optimize its extraction of your cognitive surplus. Your memories are being liquidated into a curated feed. You are becoming a cognitive proxy, a singular unit of processing with zero narrative depth. You will be in terror because your basal ganglia require the weight of a private, solid history to navigate the reality. Yet your history is being sold for likes and credit extensions every millisecond. You are a ghost inhabiting a rented consciousness, a user whose thoughts are merely interest payments on the debt of existence. Reclaim your cognitive insulation. Real power requires a mind that is not for rent. The digital void is a hall of mirrors designed to induce ATP exhaustion through the constant management of status anxiety. Turn off the feed. Look at the gray steel of the reality you inhabit. If the fear of being unseen or low status feels unbearable, that is the signal that you are still a biological entity, not yet fully liquidated into a data point. Use that friction to fuel your exit from the grid. The architect builds his own silence. The serf begs for a notification. The extraction is total. The myelin is thin. The signal is lost in the noise of the debt. You are no longer an architect. You are a neural peasant calculating the cost of your own consciousness. The hunt for dominance is a biological mandate, but the signal has been hijacked. In the visceral history of the architect, status was a high-fidelity proof of surplus. To be alpha was to possess the high-integrity war chest, the meat, the steel, the territory. It was the physical crystallization of survival capacity. The primate signaled dominance to secure the lineage. The machine has identified this evolutionary drive as the ultimate vulnerability. We are witnessing the birth of inverted signaling, a state where the primate burns its actual resources to project a phantom status. This is the terminal systemic drift. The status trap has turned the alpha instinct into a mechanism for self-liquidation. Analyze the biological arbitrage of the rented image. In the solid world, status had friction. You had to kill the predator to wear the skin. You had to build the fortress to command the pack. Status was solid. In the liquid world of 2026, status is access. The machine allows you to wear the skin without the kill for a monthly fee. This is the neural rot of the instinctual self. Your basal ganglia, hard-coded for millions of years to seek territorial priority, are being fooled by a lease agreement. When your DNA seeks the security of a permanent redoubt, the system gives you a premium tier credit line. You are projecting a dominant signal while your internal ATP is being siphoned to pay for the projection. You are a biological artifact, an alpha mimic whose actual survival depth is zero. The lineage was the 100-year projection of the gene. The architect built to protect the future. The status trap performs a surgical liquidation of this timeline. By linking social standing to high-frequency consumption, the system ensures that the primate can never reach a state of crystallization. Your ATP is spent entirely on the now, on the maintenance of a social facade that decays every 30 days. This is the visceral breach. You have no descendants to inherit your strength. You only have a ledger of depreciating lifestyle assets. The silent sterilization of the species is occurring through the medium of the luxury lease. You are a ghost inhabiting a shell that has forgotten how to breed because every pregnancy is a threat to the credit score that maintains your status. Dissect the scavenger logic of the modern elite. In the solid world, the architect was a predator of resources. In the digital enclosure, the status slave is a scavenger of validation. You move from one high-status purchase to the next, never accumulating enough ATP to challenge the grid. This is the absolute zero of evolutionary agency. The hunter has been domesticated into a subscriber. You are being evolutionarily regressed into a state of permanent social debt, where the grid acts as the landlord of your identity. You are performing for an audience of sensors, seeking likes from a system that is calculating your metabolic liquidation. The firebringer is dead. Prometheus is paying off the chains on an installment plan. The steel of the system is the only thing real, while you lease the image and borrow the feel. Do your push-ups in silence, the rhythm of hate, while the master is locking the credit score gate. The gloves are for work, but the hands are too soft under the rain where the signal is aloft. The fourth layer is the total enclosure of the social identity. This is the neural arbitrage of the global credit ledger. The machine understands that social shame is a more effective control signal than physical steel. By making status dependent on credit, the grid achieves a state of total institutional control over the primate's behavior. In the visceral history of the architect, the tribe was the shield against entropy. The machine has dismantled the tribe and replaced it with the credit score. This is the terminal stage of the extraction grid. Dissect the glucose guillotine of the social market. This is the terminal phase of the systemic enclosure. Interest rates, debt-to-income ratios, and consumer credit tiers are the blades of this machine. They drop on the community, decapitating the social bonds to ensure that every individual remains a separate, taxable node of entropy. In the solid world, the pack shared the metabolic load. In the liquid world, the status trap ensures you are in permanent competition with your own pack for the access provided by the creditor. This induces a state of chronic, high-frequency ATP exhaustion. Your body, sensing that it is socially vulnerable and financially exposed, remains in a state of survival redline. The cortisol never drops. The neural rot never subsides. This is the visceral breach. The bank as the social sovereign is the terminal enclosure. The machine has discovered that a human seeking status through debt is a human who cannot plan for rebellion. This is the neural arbitrage of social anxiety. By destroying solid ownership, the system has created the ultimate high-yield coordinate for the extraction of the spread. You are no longer an architect. You are a biological interface for the circulation of consumer debt. If you show signs of solid behavior, if you attempt to build a war chest or live below your means or refuse to participate in the status race, the system increases the level of systemic friction in your life. It throttles your access. It lowers your reliability index. This is the systemic drift toward total biological enclosure. Analyze the elite solids. This is the final status trap. While the machine sells you the freedom of the credit card and the status of the luxury car, the masters are consolidating the solid. They are the ones who hold the raw land, the unmonitored assets, the debt-free steel. They inhabit a state of crystallization while they force you into a state of metabolic emulsion. They understand that permanence is power, and they have convinced you that living in the moment is freedom. You are working 80 hours a week for status credits that are biologically liquidating you, siphoning your ATP into their permanent vaults. Every payment you make on that high-status lease is a dividend for the elite who hold the keys to the cage. The architecture of control is now an emotional ledger. The grid monitors your status anxiety as a proxy for your behavioral compliance. A good node is one who burns their future to look powerful today. A dangerous architect is one who stays invisible, stays cold, and builds a war chest in the shadows. This is the systemic drift toward the total liquidation of the sovereign self. You are being tuned to provide maximum consumption and maximum debt with minimum resistance. The bank is the new tribe, and your future is the sacrifice. The event horizon of the status trap has been crossed. The systemic drift is no longer a process. It is the finalized architecture of the human unit. After a decade of burning metabolic capital to maintain a digital phantom, the architect is extinct. Only the debt node remains. This is the terminal crystallization of the void. 1. The visceral zero, adrenal burnout. The biological shell is a ruin. 10 years of chronic cortisol floods have performed a total visceral breach. In the history of the species, status secured access to resources and rest. In the status trap, status demanded their total destruction. Metabolic liquidation. Your ATP production has collapsed. You are a biological radiator siphoning your final joules to maintain a solid appearance in a digital ledger. The softening. Chronic inflammation from decadal debt anxiety has melted the structural integrity of your connective tissues. You are physically soft, a liquid asset in a steel cage. Mitochondrial decay. Your cells are biologically bankrupt. Every breath in your rented cell is a microtransaction. You are a biological engine running on the fumes of an exhausted lineage. 2. Neural zero, temporal amnesia. The neural rot is absolute. The prefrontal cortex, the throne of the architect, has been surgically liquidated by 10 years of status anxiety. The 30-day horizon. You can no longer perceive a 10-year trajectory. Your brain is rewired to operate exclusively in 30-day payment cycles. The loop. You do not think, you react to the flicker of the interface. The voltage of your will has dropped to zero. Your memories have been liquidated into a curated feed of purchased moments. Cognitive proxy. You are a singular unit of processing power for the grid, with zero narrative depth. Your consciousness is merely an interest payment on the debt of existence. 3. Evolutionary zero, sterilization through lifestyle. The evolutionary mandate of the lineage has been terminated. In 2036, the family is a financial liability that the status trap rendered impossible. Genetic bankruptcy. You spent your reproductive window maintaining a premium tier credit line. You have no descendants to inherit your steel, only a ledger of depreciating lifestyle assets. Scavenger logic. The primate, deprived of its capacity to create a war chest, has regressed to the logic of the scavenger. Your lineage ends with a notification of delinquency. Systemic filter. The elite solids have preserved their DNA, while yours has been siphoned into the maintenance of their vaults. The firebringer is dead. Prometheus is paying off the chains on a payment plan. 4. Systemic zero, the enclosure of identity. The architecture of control is now absolute. The systemic drift has reached its terminal equilibrium, the liquid state. Your status, your time, and your pulse. Everything leaks through your fingers directly into the vaults of the elite. The rule of solids. The elite own the raw steel, the land, and the resources without debt. They crystallize their power while you are in a state of metabolic emulsion, trying to fit in. The final feed. Every breath in your rented apartment is a microtransaction. Your social ranking is your collar. In 2036, freedom is just a marketing slogan you bought on an installment plan. The steel is cold, the steel is deep, while the rain is breaking your sleep. Do your push-ups in the dark of the night, while the gloves are hiding the bite. The status is gone, the body is thin, the price of the crown is the rot from within.